Hello dear viewers, a very warm welcome to our channel. It's very good to have you here. In this video we are going to have a look at some of the top symptoms of a bad or failing radiator cap. A radiator cap is much more than just a simple cover of the radiator. It is a pressurized sealing component for the cooling system. It controls coolant pressure and flow, and it also regulates the entire cooling system operation. When we look at some of the main functions, one is pressure regulation. It maintains a specific pressure inside the cooling system. Typically, this pressure ranges from 13 to 16 psi, varying on a vehicle, and it raises coolant boiling point. Normal boiling point of water is 100 degrees centigrade or 212 degrees Fahrenheit, but under pressure, the boiling point of water can be raised up to 121 degrees centigrade or 250 degrees Fahrenheit. So the radiator cap is there to raise the coolant boiling point. The radiator cap also has a crucial function in coolant flow management. It controls coolant return to the radiator, it manages overflow system operation, it regulates coolant expansion and contraction. All these are to be managed by the radiator cap. When you look at the construction, it has a couple of valves. The primary valve is a pressure valve. It opens when pressure exceeds the rating of the radiator cap. Rating is usually inscribed on top of the radiator cap, and it releases excess pressure. Once the pressure has reached the maximum value, it releases that excess pressure and prevents system damage. There is another valve on the lower side. There is a secondary vacuum valve. We call it a secondary valve or a vacuum valve. This opens during engine cooling. It allows coolant return from overflow. It prevents the system from generating vacuum internally. The other parts are springs and seal assembly. These are there to maintain proper pressure, create airtight seal, and also control the valve operation. Now let's have a look at some of the top symptoms that indicate when there is a problem with the radiator cap. The first symptom of a bad radiator cap is engine overheating. If you happen to notice there is a problem with the engine overheating, if you happen to notice that the temperature gauge reading is higher than normal, if you happen to notice that steam is coming from under the hood, if the engine is running hotter during stop and go traffic, this could be caused by a failing or bad radiator cap. This can happen suddenly or it can happen gradually. It will most noticeable in hot weather, and it may worsen during heavy engine load. So engine overheating is the number one indication of bad radiator cap. The second symptom is coolant leak. There are physical signs to the coolant leak. If you happen to notice there is a visible coolant puddle under the vehicle, white or greenish residue around the radiator cap, or if you notice there is drip or seepage around the cap edge, this could be caused by a failing radiator cap. The coolant leak may only occur when the engine is hot. Don't confuse this with AC condensation. Color varies based on coolant type. Third, collapsed radiator hoses. Collapsed radiator hose can be an indication of a failing radiator cap. This is basically characterized by upper or lower hose appearing squeezed and visible deformation, especially when the engine is cold. This is usually a result of a failing radiator cap, usually on the vacuum valve side. It usually affects upper hose first. It may recover shape when the engine cools, and this can damage the hose over time. Fourth symptom is coolant overflow tank issue. This could be a consistent empty reservoir, could be a symptom, or reservoir overflowing can be another symptom, or bubbling in the overflow tank. This all could be caused by a failing radiator cap. Normal level should be between the minimum and maximum. Coolant level in the reservoir or expansion tank should be between the minimum and maximum, and this level should not fluctuate dramatically. If it fluctuates, that could be caused by a failing radiator cap. So check when the engine is cold to notice the position of the coolant level inside the expansion tank. If there is a dramatic swing, if there is a dramatic shift of level, that could be an indication of a failing radiator cap. 5, steam from the radiator. So visible steam under the hood, steam especially emitted from the radiator cap area, steam with a sweet smell could be an indication of a failing radiator cap. Now, Never remove the radiator cap when the engine is hot. Steam usually indicates pressure loss, and it can be very dangerous if ignored. So steaming engine should not be driven. You should stop it immediately. If you notice there is a steam coming out of the engine, pull to the side and check what is causing the problem, and let the engine cool down before doing any physical inspection. 6. Radiator cap visible damage. This is noticeable by doing physical inspection. It could be worn or damaged spring. It could be deteriorating rubber seal, which is not efficient enough for airtight seal, corrosion on metal surfaces. All this can be figured out by physically inspecting the radiator cap. So inspect the radiator cap regularly. Replace if you notice any damage. Also make sure to check the pressure rating when you are replacing the radiator cap. 7. White exhaust smoke. If there is a thick white exhaust coming from the tailpipe, and if this is accompanied by sweet smelling smoke, and if this is usually worse during startup, it could be a problem indicating coolant going to the engine. This can indicate coolant burning, may be confused with normal condensation, but more visible in cold weather. So that could be an indication of a failing cooling system component causing some kind of leakage into the engine or into the intake. 8. Coolant loss without visible leaks can also be a problem. If you notice that consistently low coolant level is registered, if it needs frequent refills, if there is no visible leak, track the coolant consumption and check for internal leaks that may indicate issues associated with cooling system. It could not be directly related to the radiator cap, but it could be related to other cooling system problems. 9. Pressure system failure. This is when there is poor cooling system performance, when there is boiling coolant at normal temperature, when there is inconsistent temperature reading. System requires proper pressure for efficient cooling system operation. If there is fluctuation of pressure, it can affect engine performance and it may cause long-term damage. So always make sure that pressure is maintained inside the cooling system. If the pressure is not maintained, that could be caused by failing radiator cap. And finally, the 10th symptom is air bubbles in the cooling system. If there is gurgling sound from the engine, fluctuating temperature gauge, or bubbles that are visible in the overflow tank, that could be an indication of a bad radiator cap. This can indicate serious problems. It may need system bleeding or could lead to engine overheating if not attended as soon as possible. So these are some of the top symptoms that indicate a failing radiator cap. There are some things you can do in order to prevent the radiator cap from going bad or from having trouble in the cooling system. So there are some preventive maintenance tips that you can do. Regularly inspect the radiator cap. Replace the cap every 50,000 miles or every 5 years, whichever comes first. Use correct pressure rating cap. As a safety warning, always never remove cap when the engine is hot. Wait at least 30 minutes after the engine is shut down. Use thick cloths when removing radiator cap. So don't attempt to open the radiator cap of hot engine. You can also go ahead and do professional pressure testing, and visual inspection has to be done regularly. Always check the spring tension and always check the flexibility of the seals. If they are very dry, then the sealing property is gone. It has to be replaced. Whenever the radiator cap is at fault, always make sure to check operation of the other cooling system components as well. For example, check to see if the thermostat is operating nicely. Check to see if the water pump functions properly. And also make sure to check the condition of the radiator. Also make sure the condition of the radiator hoses. And also have a look at the coolant itself. The coolant quality can also be a factor that can accelerate wear of the radiator cap. So these are some of the tips that you need to remember. Always remember that the radiator cap has very, very crucial task. It has very huge task of engine protection. It prevents engine overheating. It maintains optimal operating temperature that will generate conducive atmosphere for engine smooth running. It protects against cooling system damage It improves coolant effectiveness, ensures proper circulation of the coolant, prevent coolant loss and coolant boiling inside the radiator. So these are very crucial. Pressure rating is usually, for small cars, it can be from 13 to 16 psi. This is a typical pressure range. For heavy vehicles, it is up to 20 psi. So always make sure to have the radiator cap rated for your engine. This is a very inexpensive maintenance item, so relatively very cheap. You can replace it whenever there are issues associated with the radiator cap. Well, dear viewers, that is all we have for you regarding symptoms of a bad radiator cap. If you find this video helpful, please smash the like button. If you like this video, please smash the like button. If you like this video, please smash the like button. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notification so that you will be the first to get notified whenever we come up with another video. Until then, stay safe.